Good morning and welcome to the show, and thanks for waking up with us this morning. I got some very special guests here from the Navy base, or what is the Navy base called now, sir?
Naval Support Activity.
Naval Support Activity, Panama City. We have Commander Hung Cao, and we have Petty Officer First Class Brandon Zachry. Did I get all that right?
Yes, sir.
I'm an old Air Force guy, so you know the Navy language is a little foreign to me, but I'm catching on. Welcome to the show. Thanks for coming on.
No, thank you for having us.
Now, you know, you guys have some special events that are coming up at the base soon. It's the Year of the Military Diver. Did I get that right?
Yes, it is.
So tell me about Year of the Military Diver. What's that about?
The Year of Military Diver is just to highlight all the achievements in military diving that we've done in over 100 years. It's the 100th anniversary of the Mark V dive helmet, which you saw in Men of Honor. It's really the
that big,
trademark.
heavy
Yes,
metal thing.
84 pounds.
Brass or whatever it is.
Yes. Yeah. And it's 84 pounds, and you know, it's really the trademark of all military diving. That's how it all began. And then it's also the 35th anniversary of the dive school. And also, just incidentally, it's the 40th year that women have been diving in the military as well. Yes.
So you have lady divers or female divers?
Yes. They've really tread the way for us. I mean, the very first, in fact, the very first and only female master diver lives in Panama City. Her name is Mary Bono.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, no kidding. Now, Petty Officer Zachry, you're a diver, I'm
Yes,
assuming?
sir.
Okay, because you got all that stuff there. I guess that means diver. Now, how did you wind up becoming a diver? I know you didn't, like, when you were a kid, say, oh, when I grow up, I'm going to be a Navy diver.
Actually, when I was in college, I wished I could get a degree in diving, but that's not an option. And so tried to go Special Operations Commission. That didn't pan out, so I enlisted in the Navy to be a diver and have fallen in love with it. I did it recreationally as a civilian, and getting into the Navy and exponentially more information that I learned about diving, and it's been a very good time.
That's an interesting career path. Yeah, Commander Cao, if you were to give advice to a young person nowadays who's considering a military career, what advice would you give them regarding, oh, should I go to college, should I enlist?
Well, it's everybody's personal choice. I mean, but some people are just not ready to go to college right out of high school. I mean, after 12 years, are you really, do kids really want to buckle down? So maybe the military is the best option to get that maturity for them to see where they want to go instead of going straight in and wasting their parents' money.
I'm laughing because you're talking about me and you don't even know it. But that's true. I mean, you graduate from high school and maybe you're looking at college, maybe you're looking at community college, maybe you're going away to school, maybe you want to trade, but you see your friends doing other things and you don't want to be stuck, home with your head in the books all the time. I mean, that's a great way to kind of mix your education with your adventure.
Absolutely.
And go out there. We've got to run off to the local weather, but on the other side of that, I want to talk about some of the special events that are coming up, and I want to talk more about you guys as well, so people get to know who you are and find out what all goes on at that mysterious place we call the Navy base here in Panama City. We'll be right back after you're waking up with Don Weather. Welcome back to the show. I'm here with some very important people from the Naval Support Activity here in Panama City. I have Commander Hung Cao, and I have Petty Officer First Class Brandon Zachry. Thank you so much for coming on the show, guys. I know you're very busy out there, but it is the Year of the Navy Diver. And I know we talked a little bit about diving, and we talked about some of the stuff that goes on. And Brandon, if you don't mind, or Petty Officer Zachry, I mean, why did you become a Navy diver?
I became a Navy diver, sir, because I was doing recreational diving when I was a civilian and absolutely fell in love with it and wanted to do that professionally and also serve my country.
Now, did you see Men of Honor, that movie Men of Honor?
Absolutely.
Cuba Gooding? You
Yes,
had to.
sir.
I think everybody wanted to be a Navy diver after watching that movie. Just like my son saw Top Gun too many times, and now he wants to fly.
We'll change that after the Year Military Diver.
Yeah, we'll see. I'll get him home. I'll get him out there, and you'll make him a diver, I'm sure. So what's happening this year? You guys have some anniversaries coming up. You've got the Year of the Diver. Can we go out and see what's going on at the base? Are we going to have an opportunity to see maybe the museum or whatever? I mean, if you're a normal person watching this right now, what can we do to get smarter about what you do?
Well, there's so many people that drive by every day. They don't realize that there's a Navy base,
Yeah.
but also that all the diving happens here in Panama City. This is the home of military diving, where all the research and development happens right here at the Surface Warfare Center. All the testing evaluation happens at the Experimental Diving Unit, and all military divers, except for SEALs and the Army Special Forces, are trained right here in Panama City. This is all happening in your backyard, and we want to be able to have a day where the public can come through behind the Iron Curtain, behind the veil, and see what it is that these men and women are doing every day, all the screaming and yelling they hear, all the hoo-yahs and hoo-yah America and everything else that happens in the city.
I mean, if you live here, you kind of take it for granted. It's like, oh, it's just a Navy base. But people don't realize that right here in little old Bay County is really the heart of this whole diving operation for the Navy. And not just the Navy, but for the services in general. Is that right?
Absolutely. All 5 services train here. The Marine Force Reconnaissance guys train here. The Air Force pararescuemen and combat controllers. The Army engineers. The Coast Guard divers. You know, they do a lot of ice diving, and that's a dangerous thing in itself as well. And then
ice diving. Good grief.
Yes, under 3 feet of ice. And then also the Navy, the underwater construction teams from the Seabees, the Navy deep sea divers, and Navy explosives ordnance disposal.
Petty Officer Zachry, I mean, you fell in love with diving because you were a sport diver before that. Some people may not be. I mean, are divers different from normal people? I mean, are divers a different breed, or can anybody do it?
Well, sir, going into it, there takes a certain willingness to perform the tasks that we do, but in my opinion, anybody coming in has the opportunity, if they meet the standards, to enter our community.
It's very physically demanding.
Absolutely, sir. And there's standards to be met, and that's what we test at the schoolhouse. This year we're celebrating the 35th anniversary, which is why we wanted to call it the Year of the Military Diver and celebrate it also being the 100th anniversary of the Mark V diving helmet, which is the emblem of military diving. And
so it's not only physically demanding. I would imagine it's mentally demanding too. I mean, you have to have a certain degree of mental toughness, just like we saw in that movie. I keep going back to that Cuba Gooding movie, but you know, you've got to be mentally tough to put your body through the rigors of what it takes to do the type of diving that Commander Cow was talking about, ice diving. I mean, who thought of that? Who dreamt that one up? I mean, that's tough.
Absolutely.
That's
the sea is unforgiving. I mean, I tell everybody, it doesn't care if you're man, woman, black, white. It doesn't care. So we train everybody to the same standard because they need to face the rigors of the sea.
Yeah, and humans are totally out of their element in the sea. And you have to use all of your wits and all of your equipment and all of your training just to survive in that environment sometimes. Now, what's a typical mission for a Navy diver? I mean, or isn't there a typical mission?
That's an interesting question, sir, because it is anything and everything.
So it could be rescue, recovery. It could be.
We typically, when we talk about our job, we're kind of the jack of all trades, master of one, and that one is diving.
And that's staying alive.
Absolutely, sir. And we have salvage units. We repair all the ships for the Navy. We train other submarines, helicopter pilots, all this that has to do with them entering the water, we train them through. We also have the experimental diving unit and various other commands throughout the Navy that have their hand in diving somehow.
This is so interesting to me, but we have to run off to a break. But let's talk more about the really cool stuff that Navy divers do for the country on the other side of these messages. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the show. I have 2 gentlemen here from the Navy Dive School here in Panama City, Commander Hung Cow and Petty Officer First Class Brandon Zachry. Guys, thank you so much for coming on the show and letting me, pick your brain about the dive school. You've got some events coming up in May.
Yes.
Is that right?
Our idea is to highlight all the achievements of military diving in the past 100 years. I mean, just think what this world would be like without Navy divers. Kind of sad world, actually.
Yeah.
No, but in 1933, 33 men in USS Squalus were trapped in the submarine underwater, and it was Navy divers that brought them back to the surface. The first time any kind of recovery like that was ever done, and those men received the Medal of Honor for that achievement. And in 1941, when the Japanese sunk all of our ships in Pearl Harbor, Navy divers brought back almost every single ship except for Arizona and Utah back to the surface, refitted them for war, and sent them back out to chase the Japanese fleet. And that's a huge testament to the might of our nation.
You know, and you kind of take it for granted, Petty Officer Zachry. I mean, you see the airplanes flying overhead all the time from Tyndall, so you know, those guys are on the job. Nobody sees you swimming underwater. Nobody sees you diving underwater, unless you're down there with them. It's kind of a, you know, I'm not going to say it's kind of like you're unsung heroes out there at the Navy base.
I wouldn't call it that, sir, but in regards to
because you got to sing about it, is that it?
In regards to us being hidden in the water, that's what we want to advertise with this year of the military diver. Is oftentimes the diver goes down and nobody knows what's going on because they can't see him. We want to bring that to the forefront. We want to show people what we do beneath the surface. In here in Panama City, in our crystal clear waters, we are going to be but we're going to have the year of the military diver, and our pinnacle week, kind of our capstone, is going to be that first week in May, the first full week in May. And we want to involve the public as much as possible. We're still working on the details and everything, but we want to have multiple events and just advertise what we do at the schoolhouse, and also within that, what the Navy does, or what the military does, all 5 branches, what they do to support the dive community.
Well, I hope you can come back and tell us all about it. And I know, you know, you talk about 100 years of diving, which is mind-boggling to me. And you're probably on the cutting edge of technology out there too, aren't you?
Yes, I mean, you know, without divers, you wouldn't have all the PADI divers, because it was Navy divers that created all the charts and tables at Experimental Diving Unit that allows PADI divers to go out there and do
and those are the sport divers,
yes,
PADI.
PAD, I'm sorry, and also NAUI and SSI. I want to mention those other organizations too. But really, I mean, all the salvage that's happened when our nation mourns, like the TWA Flight 800 or Space Shuttle Challenger, all those things are done by military divers, as well as, you know, a lot of the stuff that we tread the way for allows us to do offshore oil rigs, you know, the divers that work on offshore oil rigs.
So you do very, very important work out there. You do research out there and training for all of the services in diving out there at the training center and the dive school. Gentlemen, thank you so much for coming on the show, and thank you for everything you do. And I know it almost sounds cliche, but thank you for your service. We're happy to have you here in Panama City, and you're welcome back anytime.
Thank you very much, Don.
Thanks, Don.
We'll be right back. Welcome back to the show. I'm here with Dr. Stephen Favaloro from Forest Park Animal Hospital, and we're talking about your dog and dog chews.
Yes, sir.
We give our little dog chews, all different. Well, Karen does.
Well, most people do, actually.
Yeah.
You know, so they don't tear the house up while they're gone. Or
well, we had that happen when Sandy was a puppy. She actually chewed on some furniture.
Right.
And of course, I wanted to get rid of her. Karen said no, she needs some chews, and that's what we wound up doing.
Well, a lot of people will do chews for different reasons. You know, they like the enjoyment of just chewing.
Sure.
And then so we also add to that, you know, maybe some benefits of, you know, some teeth cleaning as well. And so there's certain chews that, you know, do a good job, and there's certain chews that, you know, maybe we're not so fond of.
Well, the only job I was really interested in was her not chewing on the furniture and chewing on something else.
They're in one
and
of
it
the
actually
motivations.
worked.
Right,
Yeah.
There's one of the motivations. So usually what I tell people, you know, when you're looking for a chew for your dog, for just like the enjoyment of chewing and to help kind of keep the teeth clean, first and foremost, you don't ever want a chew that's so hard that you can't make a little bit of an indentation with your fingernail.
Okay.
Because if it's that hard, then the chances are they're going to break their teeth. And we'll see a lot of dogs come in with slab fractures of their premolars and molars just because they're chewing so hard on it. Eventually, you know,
they're
the
going
teeth
to
will
hurt their
get
teeth. Yeah.
You also want to look at like the size of the treat, you know, to the dog. So you don't want to have like a Great Dane with like a little bitty, you know,
I guess
rawhide.
that makes sense. You just swallow it whole.
Well, or
Yeah.
they'll choke on it. You know,
Yeah.
sometimes you know they'll get stuck in the esophagus, and then you know they're in a lot of distress. Or if it gets stuck like right in front of the windpipe, you know, they'll die.
So that rule of thumb is did you say for ingestibles?
Well, no, just for regular chews. You
Any
know,
regular
if you
chew?
can't take your fingernail and put a little bit of an indention into it, it's probably too hard for their teeth.
Okay.
And also too, like, you know,
Because those little rawhide things, they're pretty hard, but I guess
you can put an
Yeah.
indention in those, and you know, get one that's, you know, significantly bigger than the dog's mouth, but not so big like that they can't carry it at all. But what'll happen a lot of times is, you know, you'll have those knotted rawhide bones,
Right.
and so they'll either chew it in half or they'll chew it down. And if you can't see, you know, hardly any of that chew outside of their mouth, you need to throw that one away.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because otherwise they'll swallow it. It could potentially get obstructed. Although I've never had a rawhide get obstructed. I'm sure somebody has, but I've never had that happen. But they'll choke on it. So, you know, the Kongs are good too. They've got a lot of these rubber Kongs that are pretty durable.
Rubber what? What do you call it?
It looks like a little upside down snowman, or a snowman, if you will. And you can put like treats in it and things like that. You know, certainly some dogs can destroy those, but most of them can't. I'm not a huge fan of like the nylabone types because of all the chews that I'll ever remove out of a dog's intestines. If they break a piece of that off, it's not going to pass.
what
through their
type is that?
intestines.
What is that called?
Well, they're the nylabone types, and it's a kind of a rubber, but it'll break off after a while, and I don't like those. You've also got like the ingestible chews, so like the greenies, you know, the Dentistix and things like that.
Yeah.
And those are all fine and dandy, but if you give your dog like one of those that are piggy or something like that, and they only chew it like 3 or 4 times and then they swallow it, there's no enjoyment of chewing for the long term, and it didn't do anything really to clean the crown of the tooth. All you did was give your dog more calories.
Yeah. Now, we used to give our dog the little greenies, and she would work on it for a while, and,
Right.
and I guess it would disappear. But there are calories in it.
Absolutely, and so if your dog takes a while to chew a greenie, then that's perfect and what it's intended for. But you know, you give a greenie to a lab, you know, it's gone.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah,
or
yeah.
a Jack Russell Terrier or something like that. It's done. So you know, you figured those Dentistix and those greenies, they'll have, depending which one, anywhere between, you know, 40 to 50 to 70 calories. So you give them 3 or 4 a day, now you're at maybe 200 calories a day. You know, you got a 10-pound dog, they're usually a 200 calorie a day dog, period.
So now we give our dog the little rawhide bones, and she's a small dog. Everybody knows Sandy, the famous Sandy. She has those little rawhide bones, and they're probably about that big. But she's a little dog. She's a little pug Shih Tzu
Right.
mix. She'll hold that thing and just get it all spitted up and all,
Right.
and then the remnants of that thing will be all
Right.
laying
So
on the rug
so that chew for your dog does its job, and
Yeah.
then that's what you kind of want. That type of scenario for anybody's dog is it takes them a while to chew it. They enjoy chewing it, and you know, they get to focus on that. So the teeth get clean, their mind is occupied, and then there's less of a chance of teeth fracture, ingestion of more calories leading to obesity, and our choking and our foreign body.
Well, our dog was getting fat for a while, so we took her off to greenies
Yeah.
per your instructions. But she still enjoys her little rawhides, and you know, her teeth are still.
But if you want to
all
look
over
for
the
a real
place, but-
safe treat, like there's the Veterinary Oral Health Council. If you see any treat that's got like VOHC on it, those are usually approved by the Veterinary Dental Association, and they're shown to be, you know, healthy for the teeth, and also most of those will decrease tartar production over time by about 20%. So you want, and there's some foods that are VOHC approved as well. So if you look for those are ones that have been proven to be healthier for the teeth.
Dr. Stephen Favaloro, thank you again for that sage advice on dog chews.
Thank you very much.
All right, we'll see you next week, and we'll be right back. Welcome back to the show. I'm here with Joseph Milliron from Bay County Animal Services and his friend Jazz. Welcome back to the show, Joseph.
Yeah,
and,
good to be
thanks,
here.
And thanks for bringing Jazz along. Hey, now what is Jazz's story? What a pretty puppy and friendly little guy too.
Oh, she is. Yeah, she came to us
She.
as a stray. Yeah.
She.
One of our officers picked her up in the field. She's about 4 months old. She's spayed, has all her shots, microchip. Very sweet. Very
Yeah,
sweet
what a
puppy.
nice dog. What a nice dog. And how old of a dog do you think she is?
Probably about 4.
It has
4 months, I mean.
And I don't know if you can see this on TV, but she's got an interesting coat. I mean, she's got like little patterns and shades of gray and tan and brown, and you
She's-
know, you can't make up your mind what color you want to be.
Yeah, she's interesting. I don't know exactly what breed she is. We booked her in as a bulldog mix, but I might need to change that.
Yeah, I'm not seeing bulldog in there. I'm
Maybe
seeing.
hound, smaller breed.
She looks a little like the Simpsons dog, Santa's little helper, maybe. Now, if we want to adopt Jazz, or Santa's little helper, whatever you want to call her. Him, her.
Her.
What do we need to do?
Just come by the animal shelter. You'll need your ID. It's a maybe 15-minute process, some paperwork to file, and you're good to go. It's $25. She'll be already spayed, all her shots, a microchip.
Yeah, and she's
ready to go home.
And she is good to go. She is good to go. She's got her chip. She's spayed, the whole deal, and $25 is that?
25. Yep.
$25,
That
which
covers everything.
doesn't even nearly cover the cost of doing all that if you brought your own pet.
No,
to do that.
no. When you adopt a puppy like this, you got to know there's going to be some challenges, but it's definitely worth it.
And there's going to be a commitment to that.
Yep.
Joseph Milliron from Bay County Animal Services, thank you so much for bringing Jazz on the show, and I hope she finds a home very soon.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
And always remember to spay and neuter your pets.